Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi. Done. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dadi Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dadi Jasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dadi Girivara Dadi Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dadi Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimati's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. Naveen, nice to see you. You can sit wherever you want to sit. You can sit in the back row, it's okay. You can sit in the front row, it's even better than okay. Nice to see you at least. And some others are joining us. And for those of you that have been here, you get 5 gold stars on your report card for stamina. Lots of hours of sitting and hearing, but it's once a year. And the topic is a nice topic, and a little background. Some of you may not know. A little background on why this topic and why we're doing it at this time and so forth. The reason is, like many other temples, because I've done a little bit of a survey as I do travel every now and then, and many of our temples, like this temple, the community is growing. So there's kind of like, there's core, and then there's people that have been around for some time, and then there's a bunch of new people coming in the door. A little bit like, because I heard some of what Urmila had to say. I heard some of the recordings of what you had to say. Online, live, online. Oh, yeah. Well, horizontal, I heard, yeah. Hey, Amrita Kelly, where is she? She went home. Okay. She'll be back. Okay. There's, channel her or call her or something. It's something that's important for an event like this is there's a hostess at the door, because some people come in, they don't know what we're doing, and they came for one reason, darshan of the deities, and then etc. So because of retreats and other things in different places, Houston, they've got it together. They got someone that's they're assigned, and they're very sweet, and everyone feels completely at ease, respected, and they feel something because they're given some nice hospitality, a nice reception, nice respect, although they don't know what we're doing. Especially when we have our 64 round day, people come in and like, because they came to do what they do, what everyone does when they come to visit the temple. So sometimes those people sit down and they're given a set of beads if they want, and then they can chant with us if they want for 5-7 minutes, and then. But they have that. So it's a nice thing to do, to receive people, especially when we're already doing something, and they don't know what that something is. Okay, enough on that. Why we're having these events is there's many people coming in the door, and those new people, many of the new people that come in the door, look around the room, they're non-resident Indians with an education, and with that education, some career, and this and that and the other thing, and a sense of entitlement. You know what I mean? And this one doesn't have the same background as that one, and the same one as that one, and so there's a little bit of tension, not mature tension. And then they come in and they see there's these people that have been around a while, and there's this thing going on between the people that have been around for a while, and that wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting Vaikuntha, and I see Kuntha. I don't know if I want to come back here again. So that's not a nice response. We like the response where we are what they can respond however they respond, but we should be exemplary of what a Vaishnava is and how to do that from this popcorn machine that's got all kinds of things going on inside it. So training and education. So this is like a university for 2 days. or 2.5 days or whatever. Maybe call it 3 days, because we picked a holiday weekend that isn't always a holiday for everybody. So extended hearing, because that's our primary means of education, just by the hearing process. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. It's to help our members become refined, like a diamond that's got some dirt or some covering. So you polish the diamond. Ideally, it'll sparkle. And the polishing process is the hearing and chanting process, primarily. So, for those of you that Naveen, Krishna, and others that weren't with us previously, a little background. We've been discussing Canto 3, Chapter 29, Kapila instructing Devahuti on explanation of devotional service. And beginning is what is devotional service, and then he showcases in one very nice verse what is pure devotional service, like a definition. This is pure devotional service. And then he describes there's a process to get there in 4 verses. And then he describes there are obstacles to that process. And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami have identified those 4 verses, 21 through 25, are describing the obstacle of envy. And then we touched on the second class, how to address that. That was this morning. What are the means to overcome envy? And one of the key principles is respect, the antidote. And then what is respect, and what does it look like? And what's the benefit of having one who has respect as an antidote to the covering of bhakti? Because with these just little sound bites, but bhakti is pure, and just like the sun is pure, but there are clouds that can block the sun. So we don't feel the full effect of the light and the heat of the sun. If the clouds, it depends how thick the clouds are. So degrees of envy, and they minimize, according to Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, they reduce the effectiveness of bhakti upon us. They can't touch bhakti, but they can how we experience, and therefore progress may be slow. And in the process of progress being slow, there can be some further difficulties, like offense, because this and that and the other. So that was our topic so far. Little summary, nutshell. Now, in Vedic culture, if you remember from this morning's session, one of the items of Vedic culture is respect of seniors and elders and pure devotees in gradations. There's a hierarchy, and we'll go into that a little bit further. While everyone is respected, we're to make distinctions. What is one's position? The distinction is according to one's consciousness, the consciousness of being connected to Krishna, and how much conscious one is of Krishna, up to Krishna himself and the representatives of Krishna according to gradations of their position, their Krishna consciousness. So now we're going to go to what happens if you don't do that. And this is a verse from Canto 6, where the scene in the beginning of Chapter 7 of Canto 6, Brahaspati is having a big festival. And he's the center. So it's Indra Puja in Indra's palace. And he's having a great time. And into the festival comes the spiritual master, Brahaspati. And he's so full of himself that he continues sitting on this special seat getting praised by everybody and completely ignoring another person. We heard that as the absence of respect. The absence of respect is disrespect. It's an offense. We don't disrespect. Like these guests that are coming in. Someone want to volunteer to be just a receptionist and help people feel welcome and uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, so here's the verse, our starting verse. After Brahaspati leaves, Indra is feeling very ashamed and very regretful. So he starts admonishing himself this way. If a person, this is in front of the entire assembly that was praising him, and now look at him, he's a wreck. If a person says that one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up and show respect to another king or a brahmana, it is to be understood that he does not know the superior religious principles. It's another way of saying what Kapila Dev was saying to his mother. Admission in front of all the royal assembly members. And I'm going to read, it's a short purport. Six, 7, 13. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in this regard, that when a president or king is sitting on his throne, he does not need to show respect to everyone who comes within his assembly, but he must show respect to his superiors, like the spiritual master Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. There are many examples of how he should act. When Lord Krishna was sitting on his throne and Narada fortunately entered his assembly, even Lord Krishna immediately stood up with his officers and ministers to offer respectful greetings to Narada. Narada knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna knew that Narada was his devotee. But although Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Narada is the Lord of the devotee, and Narada is the Lord's devotee, the Lord observed the religious etiquette. Since Narada was a brahmachari, a brahmana, and an exalted devotee, even Krishna, while acting as a king, offered his respectful obeisances unto Narada. Such is the conduct visible in the Vedic civilization. A civilization converse. A civilization in which the people do not know how the representative of Narada and Krishna should be respected, how society should be formed, and how one should advance in Krishna consciousness. A society concerned only with manufacturing new cars and new skyscrapers every year, and then breaking them to pieces and making new ones. May be technologically advanced, but it is not a human civilization. The human civilization is advanced when its people follow the Chaturvarnyam system, a system of 4 orders of life. There must be ideal first-class men to act as advisors, second-class men to act as administrators, third-class men to produce food and protect the cows, fourth-class men who obey the 3 higher classes of society. One who does not follow the standard system of society should be considered a 5th-class man. A society without Vedic laws and regulations will not be very helpful to humanity. as stated in this verse, Dharmam te na param vidhu. Such a society does not know how the aim of life and the highest principle of religion. Na te vidhu. They do not know. We saw this little chart before. This is a pretty skinny tree without leaves. And it has its roots, the base, that's avidya. And from the tree of avidya grows some problems. A problem tree. Raga, dvesha, abhinivesh, and asmita, among others. And the root is avidya, or ignorance. The root problem of material existence, the real problem which eventually generates an array of other problems in our life, is identification with the body, or particularly false ego, that particular form of avidya, or ignorance. And that's this, so when there's this one, there's the other problems layer on top of it, like envy. We discussed this a little bit. There was a nice discussion. After one of the after class questions was, from Sankhya philosophy, the grosser forms of matter evolved from the subtlest forms of matter. Meaning, from the first one that living entities get covered with is false ego. And then from false ego, transformations of false ego come the less subtle intelligence, mind, and so forth. And then features of matter, and so on top of this, and on top of that, and on top of that. But the subtlest is our false ego. So false ego is the first thing to come, false ego is the last thing to go. And then right on top of false ego is this raga and dvesha, or desire and hate, or pride and envy, right on top. So they're the basis. So we had this, presentation that they're the darkest, but they're also the most subtle, and therefore the most difficult, because they're most subtle, most difficult, but they're rooted in false ego. That's what this verse is saying. So there's a fellow looking in the mirror, and in the mirror he sees a reflection of himself, and surrounding the mirror is anger and greed and envy and those things that evolve from avidya, that tree that has its roots in ignorance, or the absence of knowledge of knowing who we are. Remember the tattva topic, sva tattva, ignorance of oneself. So here's a little chart. Probably everybody in the room without exception knows these 6. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsarja, 6 enemies of the conditioned soul. And they have little icons to indicate what they mean. Anger is lightning, and Kama is fire, and Moha is illusion. But of these 6, the teaching is also that 5 of these 6 can be mitigated by the process of bhakti. That's what this chart is showing. 5 of these enemies can be repurposed for a higher cause. Like anger. Prabhupada's two favorite references of anger is Arjuna and Hanuman. Hanuman was on a mission, find Sita, and reassure Sita that Ram will come. So that was his mission. And when he saw what Ravana was doing, etc., 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 he became angry. So angry, and he wanted to teach Ravana and his supporters a lesson. He burned Lanka. No, it was a little circumstantial. They wanted to kill him, etc., etc. They burned Lanka. Anger. Or Arjuna. So anger has its place. Transcendental anger. The text here is saying those that block the path. Prabhupada speaks of Krishna incited Arjuna to anger, because you can't fight without anger. So he was to get angry, so he got angry. Except and so forth. Greed or lobha can be applied to spiritual knowledge. Be greedy for spiritual knowledge. That's nice. No, it's not pure, but it can't. The greed can become purified, and then the eagerness to hear simply for the satisfaction of Krishna, and the topics of Krishna are so sweet. Today is Valentine's Day. Somebody was zooming around. Radha Raman, of those of you who are pujaris. Radha Raman in Vrindavan was dressed up for Valentine's Day. Shri Radhika, did you get a copy of that? No? Urmila, did you get a copy of that? Did someone forward to you that picture? Okay, she's busy, gal. So I sent it to people, and they went, "Wow!" But Valentine's Day. That's not Indian. That's not Vedic. It's Cupid fires an arrow and zaps people. What's that? Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. Radharaman. Red roses. Really fantastic. So, Kama can be dovetailed. Gopis and so many other ways of describing in the stage of perfection. So moving in the direction that Krishna should be pleased. Then these 5 can be repurposed for a higher cause, but one of them, that guy on the right, envy, there's no place for envy, malice, and jealousy. Matsarya cannot be employed in Krishna consciousness. No way. Envy destroys the very heart of a living being. That heart meaning the inclination to love. And the inclination to love has its root, or its transcendental purpose, as we heard at the very beginning from Priti Sandarbha. Only when Priti for the Supreme Lord is it possible for one to become happy and to become free from sufferings. So inclination to love is destroyed by envy. More on the same point, the nature of love and bliss. So there's a non-Vaishnava fellow over there, George Sand, saying, there's only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. We all have an inclination to love. Why? Because we're Satchit and Ananda by constitution, and so it's natural to want to love and be loved. And when we have love, at least on the material side, the sense of love, there's a happiness. What to speak of the transcendental sense of Ananda? Our friend Socrates, he also had something to say about this. Envy is the ulcer of the soul, eroding inner peace. Envy is something we don't want. It's a repetition of something we heard from those earlier verses, 21 through 25 of Canto 20, chapter 29. Another graphic says the same thing. At the bottom, envy makes a person utterly unhappy because there's an inclination to love, and we experience ananda when there's genuine love. Envy destroys the inclination to love. It makes us unhappy. So if you know some people that are unhappy, now it's clear why. So how to weaken this enemy of envy? That's a nice subject matter which we're going to spend some time with, both now and tomorrow morning. Eventually, we can overcome envy by replacing it with love. How do you get there? Respect is the beginning. and gradually removes or weakens this tendency of envy and allows us to get more of the power of bhakti in our lives as we engage in bhakti in our life. And therefore, Vedic society is grounded in the culture of respect. So this is some of the topics today, this evening, are going to be on that the Varnashram system or the Vedic system of how respect is offered and how it's beneficial. It towards bhakti. Varnashram is a supportive system of bhakti. This envious tendency in various forms hinders one from truly experiencing the strength of bhakti practice. So again, bhakti, like come to worship the deity without any sense of living entities and respecting, but so same message as those 4 verses from chapter 29. It's something missing. It's not mature. It's bhakti that's not mature. Laced with envy lacks the power to transform the heart. So there's this nice term, not a nice term, but it's a reality term. There's arrogance. We heard this term arrogance, if you remember, from text 21, looking down upon others. Avagya. I'm above, others are below, and I'm looking down upon others. It's arrogance. Or other nice words like arrogance. Envy and malice begin subtly with arrogance and a sense of superiority. This is a repeating for purpose of making things very clear. We look down on others, striving to be number one. Even being second feels unacceptable. The ego-driven mindset creates an environment where only the top position is valued. The Winter Olympics are going on. That's a big deal. Their whole lives are centered around something. And number one makes a big deal. And who gets number one is a big deal. If you don't get number one, Julius Caesar says, it's better to be first man in a village than the second man in Rome. Be first man. So the antidote is become last, or place yourself in the subordinate position to others, as opposed to the competition spirit. So now we're back to Kapila speaking to Devahuti. Very nice image. She understands he's the personality of Godhead. He knows that she knows that he's the personality of Godhead, and that's the platform from which he's instructing. So in this series of verses, on the cure side, it starts with 25 through 28, and 26 is a nice one. We touched on it. We're going to spend a little bit of more time on these terms. Bina drisha. Remember that from the morning? Bina drisha, seeing separate. The alienation problem. And mrityu, the problem of death. Worldly suffering is a contradiction to the nature of the soul, because we have a sense of being eternal. We don't like to die. And so I'm going to always live. And that was one of the most amazing things. Everyone's going to die and to think they're not going to die. In the same way, and not less deeply, we want intimacy or closeness or friendship. We want to love and be loved. We're created for that purpose. That's who we are. And to feel close and feel ourselves as part of a whole. It's perfectly natural. So there are different philosophies depending upon if you accept the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, or you don't. And then there's philosophies and, there's practices. We are created for love and connection, yoga, yet we experience profound loneliness. We discussed this. Even next to our loved ones, sometimes. Here's a photograph of a poet that wrote the following poem on endless loneliness, like a whole series of poems, a whole string of poems. She's in the midst of peers, and she's feeling lonely. I'm drinking to a ruined home and to my life in hell, to us together, yet alone, and to you too as well. It's rhyming, so she's writing in English. Looks like her name is not English, but she's writing in English. This together yet feeling alone, it's an ego problem. We wish to love and be loved, and we're experiencing its absence. I've mentioned this, I don't mind saying it again. This became such a mega problem. A couple of decades ago, in the UK, they formed a ministry of loneliness because the government was spending so much money dealing with people that were suicidal or other features of loneliness, clinical loneliness, hospitalization for that negative emotion. So then they wanted to be proactive and create a ministry for loneliness or of loneliness. It's a problem. It's a big problem. Alienation. There's somebody, nice picture, and there's other people whooping it up, and they don't feel part of it. And why don't I feel part of it? Because, on a fundamental level, on a spiritual level, there's a reason. And here it's in this verse 26 of chapter 29. Mrityu and Bina. These are Bina Drishta or Drisha. Mrityu is death. Bina Drisha means one who feels separate from all others. One who has Bina Drishti, different form of the sentence structure, feels I'm special, I'm separate, I'm all by myself. The separatist or the independent minded person. No. Devamrita Swami developed a whole presentation on this topic. The how real is my individuality? Because there was a phase. Who knows what the next wave is going to be like? But showing one's individuality by bizarre things, by putting something in one's nose or putting something in one's ear or dressing in some weird way or something. Yeah, I'm an individual. Ta-da! So how real is it? Is that really who you are? And is that really what individuality is? And here's the first half of verse 26. Atmanascha parashyapi ya karoti antarodaram. So odaram, in Prabhupada's word for word, it means the body. And then elsewhere he writes it literally, udaram means the belly or the stomach. And tasya bina drisho mrityur vidadhe bhayam ulbanam. There's the fellow looking at this creature that's fire. As the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. Vina Drisha. That's Krishna. Yeah, Krishna does this. He generates, because he wants people to sit straight, become connected with who you really are and who Krishna really is, and then the other living entities, who they really are, whatever their position may be. So here's one way of describing, since udaram literally means stomach, those who make even the slightest difference between his own stomach and the stomach of another person, this individualist is destined for death. Because we're all going to die, but then that person will not experience eternal life. That's a consequence of being a mistaken individualist. So here's a nice image, mother and a little baby, goo goo gaga, and she's feeding the little baby. The baby is really happy, and the mother's, look at her smile, she's really happy. She's happy feeding her child. But maybe we didn't have that experience as a little child. We may not have had the experience of being taken care of in that loving way. So the individualist may think, what about me? Who's going to take care of me? No one is going to take care of me. Surely no one will take care of me if I don't take care of myself. Ta-da! So these two, this is just taking this one verse, text 26, and dwelling in it or diving a little more deeply in it. There are these two problems, fear of death and alienation. Fear of death, everyone knows what that one is. And alienation may be stronger or weaker, but it's something, the separatist mentality is this alienation. We start to solve these two problems with faith. We already have a certain state of mind. We see this world in a certain way. And then consciously, so this is, Dayal Mukunda's question, how much is our effort and how much of it is mercy? Is both. So we have to make some effort. But the effort is insufficient. We can't do it on our own. We have to receive mercy. That's the theme of this whole presentation. And what we're going to do tomorrow, just extending it with different narrations to help us understand. We make some effort, consciously make some choices in the direction of respecting others as the antidote to feeling separate. Try to see the interconnection of all living beings, first through faith. And here's a nice short explanation of the word faith, as we translate in English. Of course, shraddha is a common word, but there's another word, virata, which indicates faith. Virata, the Russian word for faith, is derived from virata. Virata is that which holds a person who's riding on the back of an elephant to the elephant so they don't fall off. Their harness or their safety belt. So faith holds us in a place of safety even when we're going through problems that we encounter in the duality journey of life. A little appreciation for Urmila's sake. A little appreciation. You probably know, but in India, when one comes to the 10th grade, there's a big exam, like a 10-day exam, national exam, and it's going to determine what's going to happen next. And they're still in high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So it's like I'm getting these letters from a lot of young people, not just from their parents, from the kids. They got this big exam. And then they're meditating on, depending upon what's their career going to be like. So I shared the link to your presentations and gave them the PDFs on. So let's see what happens. But they're at that cusp of age and contemplation. What to speak of other people. what's next? How to align? Same questions as you ask them to ask themselves. What is it besides my psychophysical nature? What's Krishna's plan for me? Is there a plan for me? How do I discern that plan for me? So anyway, how to stay with it so that from whatever the stage of life, age or anything, moving in the direction of becoming a pure devotee, because that's the target. Krishna should be pleased. And that's a sign that you achieved pure devotion. Krishna is pleased. And those representing Krishna, they're pleased. Then you're pleasing Krishna, so the bell rings. You're moving in the right direction at least. So this faith is a protection for a living entity. So here's another chart saying the same thing. Down at the bottom, there's our unconscious tendencies. The avagya, the subtle pride tendency, that's a little on the darker side. And then there's the lighter side, like an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is what's above the surface of the water, and then there's what's the main part of the iceberg is below the surface of the water. So making a conscious choice. This is the advocacy found within the teachings of our acharyas and the lessons of life. We have to make an effort at going in the right. We have to know what the right direction, what the obstacles of that right direction, and go with blessings and mercy. We have an unconscious automatic tendency to look down upon others, avagya. We should transfer this unconscious tendency to the conscious position. Well, we can't do it on our own, but we can strive in that direction. What's that conscious position? I should give way to others. Let others go in front of me. I need to help others become higher than me. I mean, an educator is really pleased when one of their students becomes excellent and excels even their teacher by the mercy of Krishna. In this way, we can gradually solve this problem step by step. That is, when brahmanas are more abundant in society, society can go up. So we want society to go up instead of down. So we want persons with Brahminical traits. We need to become brahmanas and help persons become brahmanas with Brahminical traits. That's Krishna consciousness. So now, how do you respect others? Well, starting with the flip it around. Instead of thinking of yourself as superior, that another person is higher and better than me. We gave this example. Remember the example of Duryodhana and Yudhishthira and Dronacharya? Naveen, you know that story? Here's the story. Since I'm getting your attention because you'll like it. Dronacharya, military guru of all the Kauravas. Pandavas and Kauravas were actually all Kauravas, so all the Kauravas, and he's the teacher. Military. He's teaching all of them. And then later they're going to have this fratricidal war. So, amongst his students, they're young, in training, and two of them are outstanding. And one is Yudhishthira, and the other is Duryodhana. So he gave an assignment to Yudhishthira. Go out in the kingdom and find one person who is inferior to you. He came back a week later, couldn't find anyone inferior to him. He gave a different assignment to Duryodhana. Find one person who is superior to you. He searched, he couldn't find one person superior to him. And that's what this point is. Make an effort to truly see who is better than me and celebrate. So Drona considered carefully this response, and he understood Humility personified, Yudhishthira will be a great ruler and king. And he'll do well for the dynasty of Kuru. But if this other fellow becomes the king, the dynasty will crumble. Because he's lacking in this fundamental quality. Actually, everyone is better than me, even the worm crawling in my own stool. I sincerely understand this. I do not see myself as possessing good qualities, and thus I naturally try to give precedence to others. We had this little discussion. The Vraja story, traditional Vraja story. I don't need to repeat it. So this little illustration looks like a Buddhist, and he's paying us obeisances to what it looks like, a pile of cow dung. And there's a little bird sitting on the pile of cow dung, but he's offering his obeisances because it's a feature of training to give respect to the aspects of nature that are worthy of respect, which is everything, because it's from the Supreme, ultimately. Here's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's definition. So we're going to start visiting a few other persons besides Kapila Dev and what they have to say about this. He makes some Shikshastaka reference, Shikshastaka 3, where he's giving a definition of amanina manadena. And he repeats in this way. Shikshastaka says that in order to constantly chant the holy name, I should be ready to offer all respects to others without any expectation of respect for myself. The qualities which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspires us to obtain are these two, humility and tolerance. The first two. Trinadapi Sunichena. So his definition of humility is very nice. Humility is a quality which comes from detachment from sense gratification. Please explain. Sure. Here's a little chart. But when one has this quality of absence of desire to be an enjoyer in the world, then there's a sense of detachment of the senses from the features of this world. At least gradually it may develop by cultivation of bhakti, that is, the world belongs to Krishna. The world should be offered to Krishna in his service because it belongs to him. And then this sense of I'm the enjoyer of those objects diminishes, gradually gone. And then real humility takes its place. So, again, humility is a quality which comes from detachment from sense gratification. That's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writing. This essentially means that pride is a symptom of the desire to enjoy, and my way of enjoying is by showing my superiority over others in this world. Ta-da! Showing superiority as opposed to accepting this other position. Everything belongs to Krishna. It should be used in Krishna's service. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's definition of tolerance, the nice one. Tolerance is compassion arising from the complete absence of envy and malice. There's the envy word again. When envy is completely absent, then one can be tolerant, or you can go in that direction. Sounds like the world's going to end over there. Okay, the world didn't end after all. From the very beginning of our path, we should realize this is a theme for the whole of Kapila's teaching. The world is not meant for my enjoyment. Everything comes from the source, everything belongs to the source, and because it belongs to the source, it should be used in the service of the source. The source should be pleased, Krishna should be pleased. The world is not meant for my enjoyment, it's meant for Krishna's enjoyment. When this realization, based on faith, gradually changes our attitude towards this world, then we will be given tolerance, which is compassion, based on the absence of envy. It's very reasonable. It's deep, but it's reasonable. These things are very deep. Please contemplate the interrelatedness of tolerance and compassion. That's a homework assignment. Tolerance and compassion. Tolerance, so that's his definition. Tolerance is compassion arising from the complete absence of envy and malice. Here's a nice example. This is from Ramayana. Those of you that like Ramayana, there's a scene in Ramayana where Sita instructs Ramachandra, but she kind of pleads with him. They're in the forest. Some sages describe they're being harassed by Rakshasas in the forest, and they're asking Ramachandra, you're all powerful, please give us protection. You're the Kshatriya, we're Brahmanas, we're sages, we need your protection, please protect us. And he promises to protect them. Then Sita, being, the spiritual potency of the Supreme Lord, she says, wait a minute, without provocation, they haven't done anything to you, and you're making a promise to harm those who did nothing to you. And she tells the story of, a well-known story, of a sadhu that was living in the forest, and he somehow got a hold of a weapon. In the course of having this weapon, he started becoming cruel. And when he became cruel, he was harming others. Although he was previously a sage, he just had a weapon. So she's making this little soliloquy, a little speech on, I'll give you the Sanskrit, about how lust is the root. You see those three branches of three human foibles, three kama-born vyasanas, or destructive vices. There's the Sanskrit. It's 1.5 verses from the Aranyakanda. She's speaking, Sita speaking to Ram. Mithya vakyam, or false speech. So she's saying to Ram, after giving this little speech, you can't speak untruth. That's not you. It's not even a possibility. You always speak the truth. Maryada Purushottama. You always speak the truth. Shri Radha Shama Sundara ki. Mithya vakyam. Second, para dhara avigamana, pursuing another spouse, or improper lust. But then a third, and that's not possible for you because that's not you. But you just made this pledge to harm people that haven't harmed you. So this is another outcome, an unwanted destructive vice that can come from someone that has contact with lust. Vina, vairam, rodrata. Harsh violence without enmity or provocation. Little Prabhupada story. There's certain periods of time in Vrindavan when there's more mosquitoes. So during one particular season, there were a lot of mosquitoes. And the devotees were wanting to keep the mosquitoes away from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, no, that's okay. They haven't attacked. You can attack, you can do something if they attack. And then one mosquito was on his arm and, trying to bite him or something. He said, now you can slap him. But only when they're attacking. In Vrindavan, that's pretty difficult standard to live by, but that's the standard the Prabhupada lived by. When they're an aggressor, then you can do something. So this causeless cruelty of these three features, the first two are absent in Lord Ramachandra, but she's indicating don't fall prey to this causeless cruelty. And when the weapon in someone's hand can be someone's tongue, because the tongue, like a razor, it can, from karna parva, it can be very destructive. Just the tongue, it can kill. We're going to tell a little karna parva story. It's incredibly easy to speak a few words and cause deep and lasting pain. Maybe you've been on the receiving end, or maybe you know someone who's been on the receiving end. Hopefully it's not you who've been on the receiving end. Certainly, hopefully it's not you who've been on the giving end. A mere word can even destroy a person's will to live. We speak destructively so often without even noticing. Therefore, control the tongue. So, vachovekam, there's two references from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17. Speak words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating, which is the same as Madhu Samhita. We made this reference already. It's going to happen again. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. Na bruyat, satyam apriyam. If you don't speak, if you must say something truthful, but it's not done with pleasingly, then don't speak it. Don't speak in a way that's cruel or harsh or thoughtless, how it's going to impact another person. So, vachovekam, control the tongue. So there's the eating and there's the vibrating function of the tongue. So it's a must. So this, curbing the tendency for envy, that's our topic. And it's controlling the tongue, as simple as it may sound. This is Chanakya Pandit, what is commonly called the golden rule. Do not allow yourself to speak badly about others. I'll say it twice. Do not allow yourself to speak badly about others. What if there's something bad? You're supposed to say nothing, right? If you want to influence others, you want to live a fruitful life, you should never ever speak badly about other people. If something needs to be said, you go to the other person. Or someone who is in the superior position to the other person, if they so desire, in the right way, at the right time, pleasingly, they may. And if that's not your situation, then you don't say. Don't say to the person or about the person bad things. Don't do that. The golden rule. And how to connect upon. So this session has a little interactive session. This is the interactive session. Look around the room. There's fewer people this evening for some reason. I don't know why. Than during the daytime. Everyone's fatigued, I guess, or something. Or have stuff to do. Small groups discuss how faith saved us from doing something foolish in the past. We're learning to be conscious, turn to each other, and start discussing. You knew better, so you didn't do something that was foolish. And it was the right choice to make. I guess you could do the other. I wasn't careful enough, and I did something foolish. It came back and bit me. interactive session. I'm going to stop speaking. On the count of three, you find some people you want to discuss with. We'll give you a few minutes. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I think we should have some more breakout groups. They seem to be very popular. Let's see how it works. There's a little meditation exercise we can come back to if we have time. So here it's a very nice, I recognize the Vyasa-san. This is from the Brooklyn Temple, because that colorful sitting place for Srila Prabhupada was Bhavananda's creation, very colorful. And there's two somebodies, looks like Bali Mardan and somebody else bringing something to show to Srila Prabhupada. And a little bit of respecting Guru and superiors. Now we're going to move a little bit to just those that aren't gurus and spiritual superiors, but just seniors and elders. And to go there, we're going to take the help of Chanakya Pandit. In one sense, the image on the right, we want to be at the center. We want to be the king of our little kingdom, some power, some influence over others, etc. And some place we have some authority. So, in the home or in your family or something. So the Artha Shastra, that, Dharma, Artha, that which is seeking prosperity, the Shastra that tells us how to achieve prosperity. How to achieve prosperity. How one can conquer the world and bring others under their influence. And the answer is sense control. Same message. Without sense control, you have a problem. Here's Chanakya Pandit. How to get prosperity. He uses this word vinaya, or humility, good breeding, sense of discipline over the senses. The very foundation of culture, Vedic culture, is the respect of superiors. So this is this little tree example. The root of the tree is respect of superiors. There's the root. Look at that. And from the root grows this vinaya, or humility. And then from the humility, there's the branches of the tree, that sense control. And then at the very top, there's the fruit. There's spiritual knowledge and ultimate success of self-realization and God realization in sequence. But at the root, there's service to seniors. This is Chanakya Pandit. This is his, a graphic illustrating what he says. So let's go to what he says. The one who has his senses under control can bring others under his influence. The root of sense control is vinaya, humility. Here's his phrase. The root of vinaya is the service to seniors or elders or guides. Vinayasya moolam. And that's the service to elders. The fruit of service to seniors is vijnana. So from elders you can get realized knowledge. At least the possibility is there. The capability of attaining realized knowledge or spiritual knowledge, the ability to comprehend the soul, comes from those that have that knowledge. Realization of the self comes, and then realization of the Supreme Self. One becomes self-conquered. And eventually, who is in that position, then this is sarva or sarvartai, one can achieve even material prosperity, spiritual and material prosperity for one who is in this God-realized position. So we'll go back to the tree. The starting, this is Vridho Paseva, service to seniors. And by that service to seniors, it helps a person develop humility. And when there's humility, then there's the possibility of sense control. And when there's sense control, then the branches of the tree, then there's fruits of the tree. And the fruit of the tree ultimately is spiritual knowledge and ultimate spiritual knowledge. That's his teaching. And then the artai, the practical prosperity of life comes. We're going to hear some examples of how this is true. 2 stories demonstrating this. In a home program the other day, we were discussed this one, but here it is again. The sage Rakanda had a son. And when the astrological forecast was done for his son, the astrologer said, your son will die when he's 16. And it's not changeable. It's very firm. Vriddha karma. Where this comes from is different than the Bhagavatam. You see the reference, Shiva Purana and Padma Purana. If you want to look it up later, you can look it up. That's the source. Sage Rakanda and his son. So when the sage, because he's a sage, we find reference to the son. Markandeya was his son. That's what's in the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1. Markandeya. So, according to Vedic astrology, there's different kinds of karma. Some is very easily changed. Vriddha karma. Some is Vriddha, adriddha. A little difficult, but with great effort it can be changed. And some that can't be changed. Fixed karma. Can't be canceled. No rituals, gemstones, mantras, nothing. Vriddha karma. So that was the situation with his son. So the father, Rakanda Rishi, decided he would bless his son with this following instruction. My dear son, please, whenever you meet anyone senior, any sage or elder, go and approach that person, bow down to them. When you bow down to them with humility, you'll receive blessings. So, obedient to his father, he did what his father said, and lo and behold, he kept getting blessings from elders and seniors. One of the standard blessings is Ayushman Bhava. May you live a long life. So he got into it. He got into it so much he just really liked it. When he saw somebody older, he would go running after them, grab their dhoti and fall at their feet sincerely and with folded palms. May I have your blessings. May you live a long life. And he did that till he was 16. When he was 16, Yamaraj came. And when the boy was 16, he couldn't take him away because he had all these blessings from all these sages and elders. So, according to these 2 Puranas, Yamaraj wanted to have a settlement. He went to the High Court. He went to Lord Brahma. You please be the judge. So they went before Lord Brahma. And when the little boy went before Lord Brahma, he did the same thing. Before even Yamaraj could plead his case before the High Court judge, the little boy went to Lord Brahma and paid his obeisances with folded palms. Please give your blessings. So he got the blessing. Ayushman Bhava. And so, according to these 2 Puranas, they say he's still alive today. He lived a really long life. No, the Bhagavatam has a different narration. We're here in the Bhagavatam, the different narration that's found in Canto 12, chapters 8 and 9. And you've seen this image before. This is the water of devastation, and in between the change of Manus, there's a water of devastation. And there's Markandeya Rishi floating around. And there he sees a banyan tree, and on the banyan tree there's a little blue boy on the banyan leaf, and he's sucking his toe. And Markandeya recognizes who this is. Little boy glances at Markandeya Rishi and inhales. And there goes Markandeya Rishi and the whole cosmic manifestation inside the body of Krishna. Read the Bhagavatam. This is where this section is. Verses 20 through 25. And then when he exhaled, the universe came out again. So he lived beyond the duration of the inhalation and exhalation of Mahavishnu. In this case, it's little Krishna, little baby Krishna on a banyan leaf. That's one narration. Rakanda Rishi. Fundamental principles of Vedic culture. For this prosperity. No, Prabhupada would often use these two words, peace and prosperity. No peace and no prosperity if you neglect Vedic culture or neglect your service to Krishna. And if you want real peace and prosperity, that's a necessity. So it's Vedic culture. There are things supportive of that culture besides just bhakti, but happiness, prosperity, health, success comes by the blessings of seniors. And in many cases, difficulties that people have, they have their karma, yes, but with mercy, they can overcome that difficulty. Sufficient mercy from superiors. Here's another second example, really nice example. Kurukshetra battle is about to begin. So the chronology is, after Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, then it was settled. The Kauravas and the Pandavas, there was already, at a crescendo, and there they are, the two armies are lined up. And the Mahabharata says, on this side they're saying this, and that side they're saying that, and they're heroes ready to go till the end. But they're waiting for Yudhisthira to give the word. So while they're waiting for Yudhisthira to give the word, he does something that's very surprising to everybody. He takes off his helmet, puts aside his weapons, and slowly walks towards the enemy army. And everyone's going, what's going on? So what does he do? He goes directly to Grandfather Bhishma. Out of the entire Kaurava army, see Grandfather Bhishma with tears in his eyes. There's Yudhisthira bowing before him, seeking his blessings. What blessing does he want? Please bless me so that I may win. And what does Bhishma say? You will win. The victory will be yours. And then he added, it's good that you did this. If you hadn't, I would have cursed you and you would have been defeated. So then next, he kept his helmet off. He went to the other, under the commander-in-chief, the other commanders of the Kaurava army. Systematically repeated the same thing to three very important personalities who were also his elders, Dronacharya. And he said the same thing to Dronacharya. May victory be, Dronacharya's words, may victory be yours. And then he revealed the secret. Here's how I can be defeated. When the one who never lies utters a lie, I will put my weapons aside. And that's what happened. And when he would put his weapons aside, that's how he could be defeated. And he couldn't be defeated as long as he had his weapons. And that's how he was defeated. Ashvatthama is dead. There's some detail. Bhima heard that's the way to get, because Dronacharya revealed it. So there was an elephant carrier of one soldier, and he went and attacked the elephant, whose name was Ashvatthama, and he killed him. Then he went to Drona and said, Ashvatthama's dead. And he felt something, but he said, this Bhima, I don't trust him. And there was my son, so he's not dead. He's a liar. He wasn't a liar. Ashvatthama, the elephant, is dead. Then it got really bad and really bad and really bad. And Krishna said to Yudhishthira, you got to say, but Yudhishthira said, I've never told a lie. And then Krishna gave a reason. When it comes to saving a life or saving lives, then speaking an untruth is appropriate. Say it. So he said it. He dropped his weapons. That's Mahabharata is filled with all these little innuendos. Kripacharya, also blessed. And he said the same thing. If you hadn't said this, I would have cursed you, but good thing you said it. Now I bless you that you will win. And Shalya, because this is all relatives, Shalya is his uncle. And he blessed him and gave him this special insight. You may consider Karna already demoralized, because there were some exchanges that happened before that. And eventually Karna became the commander-in-chief after Bhishma's demise. But he was already demoralized because he was against Krishna. So the most critical moment of the war was not an act of violence, but an act of respect. Little lesson. Seek the blessings of your superiors. And to be continued tomorrow morning. Wait a minute. It's only 7:30. Guess what? We have time for questions. If I'm permitted, till 8 o'clock. I was told we can go to 8 o'clock. There were some questions from the morning session. So I'm open. I'm happy to take some discussion from this morning or this evening, as you wish. But not an Urmila's topic, because I wasn't there for her topic. It's her topic. Premananda, you had a question you wanted to ask. You probably have a few. Okay, beat you to it. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. In the morning, there was a summary of 4 levels of envy.
Yeah.
And the last 2 was disturbance, anxiety, and loss of inner peace. A person feels everyone is his enemy. And then that lead to loss of protection,
Yes.
feeling of abandonment, and vulnerable to hostility.
And why not?
Vulnerable to hostility. Hostility. Yeah.
Help. We got to do something. I don't know what to do. You can hear, but I can't hear. I'll trade ears with you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
You know what old age is like.
Yeah.
My hearing isn't what it used to be.
Mine too. Can you hear now?
Not what it should be.
This mic.
We'll try
This
just try for the best you can.
Give a different mic, please.
Go ahead and speak. I'll pretend to hear you.
Hare Krishna. It is the mic.
Okay,
Okay, so don't use that one.
trash it.
So those two, the different levels of envy, the last two you listed, and then following that you gave the solutions and the cause of this raga and dvesha, and then the solution dana and
Yeah,
mana.
mana, right.
So we come across people with so much of internal difficulties that most probably is the cause of these last two problems, the disturbance, anxiety, feeling of loss of protection, leading to some kind of violent
Need
expression,
him to do what?
leading to some sort of violent expressions.
Yeah,
There.
yeah.
So such people cannot, even if we give all this long list of solutions, how can such people even process that? First of all, maybe they are in need of something.
I'm listening.
Persons may be in need of something which is more, I don't know, fundamental treatment of some sort. To come to a point of even thinking in terms of guidance coming from scriptures or spiritual masters or anybody. So even though the solution is there in the scriptures, how do we expect such transformation to happen?
How do we expect such transformation to happen?
Yeah.
That's your question.
Yeah.
It's just like the deity curtain, it opens slowly. There's not a quick fix. It's a culture. And the culture of respect. And then, all of these nice questions. What does respect look like, or how to respect? It starts with a principle, looking up, and then looking up means to those who are elder or superior, spiritual superior, or at least even material superior, elders. It's a principle. And minus the culture of no culture, one of the things that's being expressed here is this becomes flat. There's no culture. And then you have the mess. And we're products of the culture of no. It's Kali Yuga. And those of us that are living, we grow up in a culture of no culture. Instead of, we're going to hear some nice stories, very nice stories of where there's culture. And if there's time, I'll even tell one story of nice culture today, even in the midst of Kali Yuga. But so where there's culture, so it's organizationally, or the elders, the village elders need to be cultured. At least some need to be Brahminical by their quality and live that way, not carry a stick or not criticize or fault find, but just exemplify that higher quality. And from your position as a president, you encounter this and that and the other thing and the other thing. You see, the untidiness of behaviors and speech, and there's a lot of it. It's like oppressive sometimes. So then, what do you do? So you do what we're doing. Have training and education on respect, mana and dana. And make that as a theme or a platform that the devotees are encouraged to live by. And then those that are seniors by age and other qualification, they should be respectable. And those that are moving towards their senior stage need to understand that's what's coming next. Just like, these 10th grade kids that are taking their national exam, and, they're going to planning their career. And whatever is going to happen with their 11th and 12th years, that's the system in India. So they're looking for what's next. So we should be also looking what's next. Those that are in your 40s and you have little children, there's fewer people here this evening, but there's a lot of families in that condition. And, you have to look after your families in your present stage, but you also have to be looking forward to what's next. And those that are in the what's next position, there are a lot of devotees. I'm just responding to your question, but there's a lot of devotees that are in, one way of saying the vanaprastha stage. That is, they've been practicing for X number of years. Their children are grown up. Their children are married, and they're and so forth and so on. And now, what's next? What's the plan? Be village elders for the community, and be exemplary village elders for the community. And it's so important for the future of my children and my children's grandchildren, or my grandchildren. This, so it's creating the future now by understanding and then living in, man and dana. And it's not easy, but the principle is simple. So we learn it and practice it, and encourage one another. And when you hit a roadblock, you help people, hold their hand, and whatever else you need to do to help them get over that roadblock, that bump in the road. The fire of ordeal, as Bhaktisiddhanta calls it. Now, you want to add?
Yeah, just, my questions may look like trying to solve problem, but it is much more than that. I remember years ago, you requested me to make sure that every devotee has someone local as a guide, so that it's not only the spiritual practice and questions related to that, but also people have so many other issues in their life. So they need somebody, and you very specifically asked me to make sure every devotee has got someone to turn
Shelter,
to. Yeah. I have tried my level best to do that in this community. What I'm seeing is that there are cases where even after putting something like that, some elderly person who generally devotees who look up to, who is willing to do that service, finally come to a point that I don't think I can advise this person anymore, or I cannot give any guidance because I'm so tired. There is no receptivity on the other side. Even today morning, Urmila Mataji's class, I think in the group discussion, I heard some devotees giving a feedback that there can be 3 or 4 counselors who can give that type of guidance. And I was thinking that if we have arranged even a specific counselor for a specific devotee, and even such persons feel tired and they feel like, I cannot do this anymore. So when we come to that point, then you're hitting a brick wall. Then you don't know.
Well, I have to interrupt. I'm trying to just be patient, listen to the whole thing, but I'm confused from your question. She's going to need the microphone again, because I'm confused by your question. Are you speaking of someone that's just got the wall up and don't tell me anything, and somebody feels frustrated? I've tried umpteen ways and I can't get through. I can't help this individual. Or I can't do this anymore, period.
The first one, which is
First one.
the first
So,
one is
an
most,
individual is too difficult.
but that then they repeat, they sees, the what you call that as a ripple effect, the ripple effect
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and then they see, like, then they feel, who can I help,
That has a simple solution. The difficult one is what to do with that rotten apple that's making the whole barrel rotten by being a rotten apple. And that rotten apple's impact, ripple effect on other apples, other devotees. So that's a separate question. The question of someone who's feeling discouraged because I tried and tried with this rotten apple and they're a rotten apple. So I guess I can't do this service anymore. So then any leader, you or some leader, can help that person understand the position of service. I mean, we heard some of these examples, but like Krishna was able, Prabhupada was able, where persons who were having difficulty, they felt encouraged by Krishna or by Prabhupada, or, from Mahabharata and so on. So someone they can understand the sense of Dharma. You have an ability. It's same as Urmila's point. Krishna has given us some opportunity, some ability, and you use that. So this is beyond the boundary or the limits of your capability. Okay, but you're a capable person, and in different ways. You can point out how well they've done with their children, or well they've done with this one, that one, or this something. It's not a rotten apple. And I have heard from persons who have been under your care how much benefit they found being in your association. Go talk to them. I've heard from them. They respect you and what they've gotten from you. So there are different ways to help an individual that's feeling discouraged get back in the saddle and perform the service that Krishna has given them the ability to do. Or where find another service that they can connect with and feel encouraged in that other service that they can now connect with, rather than of necessity they have to do this one thing that they somehow come to the conclusion I'm not capable of, when in fact they're capable of. So that's as a leader, you can help take a look at a menu list and different ways you can approach that person's feeling incapable. By relationship, and inspire them through the medium of your confidence in them. And when they're feeling discouraged, then it may take a little extra effort. That's okay. A little patience. That's okay. But a life of devotion is awaiting them. Yeah. I see your hand up. Back there. Put your hand up again.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. A little bit of an academic question. So I remember one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples was called Madhu Disadas. Basically, Krishna is envious of the demon Madhu. So that led me to think that so envy is also a quality of Krishna.
Yeah.
So is that something that we can actually?
Is that what?
Is this quality of envy something that we can actually remove, or this is a part of us?
Well, to say that he's the enemy of Madhu doesn't mean he has envy. Krishna doesn't have envy. he may be someone's enemy, Madhu the demon, enemy, when he was trying to steal the Vedas. So Lord Vishnu killed him, thus Madhu Dvisha, the enemy of, not the envious of. So you want to rephrase your question? Maybe I didn't understand your question.
Well, I guess even the quality of envy that I have,
That you have.
or all of us have,
Okay.
but that's something that we get from Krishna. So it seems like that might be an intrinsic part of us. Is that correct?
No.
The quality of envy is not an intrinsic part of us.
It's not intrinsic to your nature.
Okay.
It's a covering. Did it answer your question?
That was my question.
You have a part two. That's it.
That's
So it's something that is meant to be removed and can be removed. When it's removed, it's gone. It's gone. It's not part of your nature. It's gone. Sival.
Sure, Goswami. When recognizing the symptoms of this envy in one's heart, the explanation of this morning, just as Pramananda say, the solution that is given by Lord Kapiladev, dana and
Mana.
and mana.
And mana.
So respect and charity.
Gift, charity.
And specifically, you highlighted the dana of giving prasadam.
Yeah, there's others, giving knowledge, giving love, giving affection, giving kindness, giving a smile. Dana.
Yes. So we were discussing in the little group, Manasiganga Prabhu and my wife and myself, trying to go through this thing. And then when there is a relationship that has been damaged, in which we experience the manifestation of these qualities of envy in my particular heart, to apply these solutions, one wants to apply the solution to be free from that envy within the heart, that negative emotion. However, it seems that there is an element that is required to not necessarily go through the movement of giving dana and giving mana, but not in a genuine way. Something that may be, like...
With other motives besides your genuine motive. That's certainly a possibility.
What is the element that would you say we need to feel to get to a genuine expression?
It starts with what Kapila Dev speaks about. You follow Mahajino Yena Kata Sapanta. You follow the example of previous successful persons. You're looking up to those that are successful. You're not, but you're following because they're successful. So you're following those who are successful. And it's going through the motions, and you even have a bad motive. I'll do this, and I'll get some improvement points. I'll get some prosperity and success and riches and da. I'll get something. But if I'm following the example of previous perfected souls or elevated souls, then I'll also get the real thing. It's a mix, but I'll get the real thing and can continue doing because it's the right thing to do. And how do I know it's the right thing? Because these perfected souls do like this.
So even if it's not genuine,
Even if it's not genuine,
the
sincerity must be there.
Sincerity.
The minimum sincerity is, I want to be a follower of the great souls. I'm looking up.
Thank you.
The starting point is, I'm also influenced by the modes of nature. That was in our very first class. So my effort in bhakti is going to be with some mix of the modes of nature, given I'm a conditioned person striving for something that's free from conditioning. So I'm going to have a motive other than all sincerity. So some sincerity must be there. What's the some sincerity? Follow the example of the previous successful persons. We need those examples. Back to Premananda's question. Have someone that can guide you that is in that category of wholesome. They don't have to be perfect, but wholesome. They're headed in the right direction. I look up to them. And I want to take wisdom from those who are wise, even there may not be perfect. That's the sincerity that's required. That much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Naveen, right in front.
Thank you, Maharaj. Nice class. So I have a comment on this. And in the Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 30th chapter, 35th verse explains that whenever the pure topics of transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, but they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety of fear. So how do we apply these topics? Like regularly hearing Bhagavatam, we have a schedule classes, but at least for time being,
At least 4?
how do we apply this verse to become free from envy?
How to become free from envy? Well, when you were reading, he and I were smiling at one another because I couldn't understand what you were saying. And now you're asking me how do we apply this verse, and I couldn't hear what you were saying. So it's my hearing. It's not you, it was me. But I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Okay.
So but I don't have a solution to being unable to hear what you were saying.
Okay.
I guess I could just look up the verse
Yes, Maharaj.
on my computer.
Yes.
That's one solution. So the verse number, Bhagavatam verse number?
40.
No.
40.30.35.
Say it slowly. 5?
4th canto, 30th chapter, 35th verse.
4:30.
35.
35. Okay. Gosh. Oh, there it is. 4:30. 35.
Yes.
Whenever pure topics, that's the verse?
Yes.
Of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety or fear for the time being. So your question is, what about after the time being is over?
Yes,
That's your
Maharaj.
question?
Yes, Maharaj.
Practice. That's the answer. You do and you do. So you hear and you hear again and you hear again. And then you just keep hearing. When there's some attraction for hearing, you do it again and again and again. And even it's just duty, this is the means to become pure, so I do it again and do it again because I have faith that by doing it again and doing it again, I'll get to that nice place. That's practice. Sadhana of something that has this wonderful outcome. Members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Okay?
Thank you.
Abhyasa. Practice. I see hands. You too. You're first. Then you're second.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. In one of the slide, Guru Maharaj is written that I should give way to others, let other go before me.
Yeah.
So in
You're just 10 feet away from me, and the sound system, excuse me, but I'm having a hard time even hearing when you're so close. I don't know what to do. Do you know what to do? We'll think of something, because tomorrow's another day. But say it again. So we want to place others, we want to encourage others to take a higher position.
yeah,
So
so that give the way to others.
what?
Give the way to others to grow before me.
Yeah.
So in that practical and working environment, how this principle can be applied.
In the workplace. Same question. Well, I can describe principles, and I think it's probably good for you to discuss with others who go to the workplace every day and deal with it. But the principle is fundamental. It's what part of it is what Urmila had to say, which is there's a calling for you in your relationship with Krishna. You do this, and you do this, your workplace thing, for Krishna. And then in the workplace, there's different people with different modes of nature and different character and different differences, lots of differences. And that's, they're making their choices. They have made their choices. They're doing their thing according to their choices. Your business is to satisfy Krishna to your capacity. And you just do that. And then the chips are going to fall where they fall. That is, some people are going to say, oh, praise. And somebody's going to say, oh, you're a bum. Or some people are going to say, that was nice. Can you do a little bit more, a little bit better, or something? So there's going to be all kinds of voices in the workplace. And you try to stay focused on not pleasing the workers in the workplace or the superior that's overseeing the workers in the workplace, or the one that's the owner of the company. And they're not like they're a zero, but Krishna should be pleased. So by your sincerity, back to this term that Subal was using, by your sincerity, if Krishna is pleased, then better chance that they'll be pleased because Krishna is in their heart. And be consistent with that to your capacity, of working to your capacity to please Krishna. And if there's some skills that are needed, or something, then within your time management, you don't leave aside your sadhana. So I want to get good at my skill sets. So I just put my bead bag to the side for a few weeks and develop my skill sets. But that is not right. But improve skills, fine. But for a purpose, that Krishna should be pleased, not just the guy next to me in the other cubicle, or the manager, or the manager of the manager, or, there may be performance review sessions. And when that happens, you're dependent upon Krishna, just like these kids that are taking their national exam. They're smart kids. And then Krishna will give the ability of man. Krishna can give the ability to those kids to do well or not. And Krishna can give the ability to you to be, an effective worker in the workplace. Or not. We're in Krishna's hand. So that's my recommendation. I'm not a worker in the workplace, and how you deal with the relationships, and some people are like this, and how to deal with people that are like this. Some people are like that. The best way to deal with people like that. I don't know all those games. the rules of the game. I know this one. Okay. Online question. There's two, and then we're going to end. Look at this. It's 8 o'clock. And 2 minutes after 8 o'clock. Go ahead. You do. Then you do, and then we're going to end 3 minutes ago.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Two things.
Go ahead. The slowest curtain in the USA is Con Naperville. And then they got to fix because the curtain doesn't close all the way. Go ahead.
The first is some appreciations for Lord Kapila Deva and his teachings. When I first, in my initial years contacting Krishna consciousness, I remember his exposition of Sankhya philosophy in Srimad Bhagavatam used to be much more interesting and approachable to me compared to other parts, because that part mainly deal with the tattva aspect of things, and they're more interesting and approachable to me compared to other parts that deal with more like stories and lessons learned from the stories. And I'm also very much inspired by his respectful and affectionate dealing with his mothers in his teachings, when he is delivering his teachings. And it used to inspire how I interact with my mother as well. And I used to mistook him as a Vishnu Tattva personality because he assumed the position of a divinity. And I think to my limited knowledge, perhaps he is the only Shakti Vaishya avatara that assumed a position of the divinity. And just in terms of the teachings of him on envious, the 4 verses from 21 to 24, and later on the verse 26, I feel like his language is really heavy. Yeah. It's so heavy, like, in terms of enviousness, he used like imitation, pulling gear on, pulling the oblation on ashes. You never attain peace. You can never please me, and I will cause fear in your heart. It's so heavy, and especially thinking about how Lord Kapila has been so gentle, so affectionate towards his mother, and always having a smile on his face. It's like, it's kind of unexpected, and just borrowing the phrase from Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, he is kind of speaking with anger. And I feel like that's that is effective also in a sense, because it kind of impress upon the audience about the seriousness of this issue of envy, and also increase their appetite to hear about the solution. Yeah, and also be like proactively to try to solve that issue. This is the first thing. And the second thing is reflection on envy. I feel like envy is something like that which I value, I only want to see it in me. And I want to prevent others from having it. And on the flip side, non-envy is that which I value, I want to see it in others, and I want to help others to have it. Thank you.
That's bhakti. We got a long way to go. Okay, the online question.
If someone creates envy in our hearts, even though we did not originally have envy,
Even though what?
even though we originally did not have envy,
Okay.
as conditioned souls, we may develop it
How about
because
don't use the microphone, just speak to me. Yeah, just in steps. This is the how-to question. In little steps, someone that's an accomplished, wholesome devotee, they put their arm around your shoulder and say, see these steps? These steps lead to higher consciousness. Do you think you could walk on one of these steps? Here, I'll walk with you. Let's do one step at a time. So, with good association and feel encouraged by having that kindness extended from that loving person, Premanand is listening. She's the mentor that I was asked to look up to. So I look up to them because they have that quality. I feel that quality in them. So then you take little steps up the stairway. Little steps in good association with proper guidance and direction. That was it? One question? Okay. Well, we ended 10 minutes ago. And I don't know what's next. Somebody knows what's next. What happens next? Dinner. Okay, dinner prasadam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.